Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Thank you for being here. My name is Andrew, coming to you from the beautiful Carolinas. Today's topic is going to be, does the narcissist know what they're doing? Think about that for a minute. Everyone, if you like the content, please like, subscribe, and share. So this question, it's the age-old question, does the narcissist really know what they're doing? I receive this via emails virtually every day. I read it in the comments section, in the community section, and I have it asked to me during one-on-one sessions frequently. Does the narcissist really know what they're doing? I will address this and I'll give you examples of perhaps what they do know what they're doing, or maybe if they don't. I'll jump right in right now. So let's think about your upbringing. You were in a family. Let's say that you were the scapegoat and your siblings, or one of your siblings, was the golden child, which means they were being treated totally differently than you. You could do no right, they could do no wrong. And one of your parents, who turned out to be a narcissist, let's say, or a toxic individual, they were treating your sibling so much better than you, and you were taking the blame for things you did do, things you didn't do, things you should have known, things you shouldn't have known. You were tolerating your sibling being raised up high on a pedestal, and you could do no right. And you counted the days until you turned 18 or 21 or whatever the age is in your jurisdiction, so you could leave the nest, leave the fold. You didn't have to tolerate the poor behavior any longer. I hear this frequently. And what this means is your parent, whoever that individual was, they know exactly what they're doing. They're treating one of the children better than the other one. They're favoring one of the children. And that is narcissism 101 right there. If you have kids, just keep this in mind. If you have children, they should all be treated equally. Every human being should be treated with love, respect, kindness, and they should have a great upbringing. Now, I understand a lot of people's childhoods, they were challenging, and let's say that one of their parents was the narcissist, or their sister or brother was the golden child. They couldn't wrap their head around it. They didn't know what the terms and definitions were, but they knew that they weren't being treated properly. And then they would watch this other individual have their birthday celebrated like it was the turn of the century, no matter what age they turned. And then your birthday would not be met with such a big thing. It would just be kind of another day in the life. That's not fair. So that illustrates one reason how the narcissist, in this case your parent, knows exactly what they're doing. Think about gaslighting or stonewalling or giving the silent treatment. Let's say it's a romantic relationship. If you experienced any of those things, you know what I'm talking about. Drop comments below. But now, first of all, who would gaslight another individual? Nobody in the right mind would do that, because that is a manipulating technique. It's a tactic used by the narcissist, and it's a tactic meant to get you to doubt your sense of self, so you believe in the other individual, which is the narcissist. So why would you use gaslighting? I'll tell you why. Because this individual didn't want you believing in yourself, and they didn't want you to be yourself. They wanted you to become an extension of them. So they knew exactly what they were doing each and every time they had you doubt yourself or question yourself. That's another way. Same thing with the silent treatment. Let's say that you're a child and someone takes your toy and they go home or something, and you don't want to talk to them any longer because you don't feel comfortable, but you're a little kid, and you realize that, hey, communication is key in any relationship. And that if a little neighbor or kid took your toy, it's no big thing. Just go talk to them and get it back and make up, and you move on. But the narcissist can't do that, can they? No, they can't. What they do is they administer the silent treatment throughout their whole life to individuals, and they know what they're doing. They know who they're doing it to, and they know the damage it inflicts upon other individuals. Let's take a celebration. Maybe it's a holiday that's approaching, and you are not being talked to for a period of time, but the other people in the family, everyone else is talking to everybody like everything's normal, but you're being given the silent treatment. Why? I'll tell you why. Because that person, i.e. the toxic individual, the narcissist, they know what they're doing. They are invalidating you. They're acting like you don't exist, and they are making you squirm. They're giving you the silent treatment, and other people in the family are scratching their heads saying, well, what's going on here? How come this person's not being talked to, which was you? Well, that is because an individual who is basically a adult trapped in the childlike mindset, they don't want to talk to you, and they're showing you that. So do they know what they're doing? Absolutely, they know what they're doing. They know exactly what they're doing. The same thing with triangulation, one of my least favorite things. As a matter of fact, my least favorite thing that these people do. And remember, triangulation is when a toxic individual inserts a third party, whether that person exists or doesn't exist, into your relationship. Now, I'm not saying physically, although it could be. I'm saying emotionally and verbally. So example is the narcissist. Before you knew they were a narcissist, they would go to work, and then they would come home after work and they would say, oh, so-and-so paid me all these compliments and said I looked beautiful and I looked amazing. You never do that for me. And then you're like, what are you talking about? I tell you that every day. Well, what's going on there is the narcissist is throwing a third party who does or doesn't exist into your mind now. And it's called triangulation. And they want you doubting yourself. They want you working for the narcissistic relationship more and harder and paying them more attention, paying more compliments. Because I'll tell you right now, because your supply was probably getting low, but that's for a whole different video. Point being is when they triangulate an individual, do they know what they're doing? Of course they do. This is exactly how the narcissist leapfrogs from one person to another person. Let's think for a moment and dig into that a little bit deeper. Let's say that you were married to the narcissist. Let's say that you were wife or husband number 2 as an example. Well, the first husband or wife may not even be on the planet any longer. If that's the case, that's not good. But the point being, when you met the narcissist, what did they tell you? Well, they told you that husband or wife number 1 didn't take care of them. Maybe they abandoned the kids or they didn't do the right thing. Well, you believe that. Then you fell in love with the narcissist, and what happened? Well, you were triangulated by a person that didn't even exist on the planet any longer, because they used that relationship to leapfrog into your relationship because you felt bad for the person, or you heard their sob story or their victim story, or any of the upbringings of the children, or even the person you married, and then boom, next thing you know, here we go, you're in the relationship, and it's your turn to absorb the toxicity, the abuse for a period of time, which was the length of the relationship. Now, there are so many terms, definitions, and glossaries in the narcissistic abusive cycle, and I'm not going into detail with all these examples. I'm just giving you an overview of certain examples, but these are sprinkled all throughout the narcissistic relationship. And so to answer the question, does the narcissist know what they're doing? Of course they know what they're doing. Think about this one. When you were discarded, were you discarded during one of the most challenging periods of your life, perhaps even a pandemic, during one of your most favorite holiday periods of time, during when the kids would have vacation time, perhaps when you couldn't walk properly, or you had a detached retina, or you had other physical concerns and you were in a mountain of credit card debt and you had no money and your support system had blown up? Well, think about it. If that's the case, first of all, drop comments below. But second of all, think about this. Who would abandon another individual under those circumstances or any similar circumstances? I'll tell you who would. A toxic narcissistic creature, a person who wants to inflict the most damage when you are at your lowest point in your life, a person who didn't want you to exist, a person that didn't want you to succeed, a person that was envious of you, jealous of you, who wanted to be you, but at the same time, who was playing mind games with you in the relationship for a period of time, and you didn't even know what you were up against. You did not know what this was happening. Not the best English. You didn't know what was happening to you. You just couldn't put your finger on it. You couldn't wrap your head around it. But perhaps you took notes throughout the relationship on your smartphone or in a journal, and you documented the poor behavior, but you just didn't know what the word was, which was and is narcissistic abuse. Then you found a channel on the internet and you researched the term, and you're like, light bulb moments everywhere, ding, ding, ding. Oh my gosh, this is my spouse. This is my lifelong partner, the person that proclaimed they loved me. This person's administering all these things to me, triangulation, the smear campaign, all this toxicity, gaslighting, stonewalling, all these things I'm sharing with you. So did the narcissist know what they were doing? Of course they did. They also knew, because they were watching your resources become depleted more and more over the length of the relationship. They were testing the temperature of the relationship with you, if you will. They were dipping their toe of source supply, if you will, and they watched you fall apart. So they picked a pivotal moment in time to discard you again, and then they went on to the new supply. Now, the whole time they did that, number one, they never thought you would exist, but number two, the new supply was waiting in the wings, maybe even for years, who knows, maybe even for decades. I can't tell you. What I can tell you is the narcissist leapfrogs from person to person, relationship to relationship, all over the globe, recycling past relationships of people who haven't healed, or those people are toxic themselves, or getting brand new sources of supply. In other words, unsuspecting individuals who don't know their value, who are people pleasers, who are yes people, who don't have boundaries, who want to fall in love, who want to create a family, who believe in building a future. This is what the narcissist does, and they know what they're doing. That is why each and every relationship has an expiration date with the narcissist, because the narcissist knows that they will get jaded and bored with the relationship that you are a part of. It's just a matter of time when this happens. Basically what it is, I'll tell you the truth, what it is it's either when something better comes along, in other words, a person with more money or more resources, or when your resources are so depleted and you're just a shell of yourself that they discard you and throw you away on the freeway like a sheet of paper crumpled up. It's one of those two things. That's how it usually is. Now, the third outcome, of course, is you stay trapped in the zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog, where you're so beaten down and they're keeping you as a human punching bag, if you will, as a sounding board, as someone to do things for them, perhaps give them rides, pay their bills, be the person that endures the abuse behind closed doors. If that was you, I know what you're talking about. Again, drop comments below. But there are more things to life than being trapped in the zombie-like, trance-like state, the narcissistic fog. That state where you were existing, you weren't living. And post-narcissistic relationship, if you were discarded, now you're beginning to heal, or you have healed and you're well on the healing path, headed towards that pinnacle of indifference, that mountaintop of indifference where you don't care one bit about the narcissist or any individuals associated with them, flying monkeys or people from that past life, because that life is just that. It's the past life. You've now learned from it. You're learning, you're growing, you're teaching, you're becoming awakened and aware, educated and empowered, and you're understanding one key thing for this video. The narcissist did and or does know what they're doing. They know each and every day when they wake up what they're going to do. Now, every day, is it going to be manipulation, games, and nonsense? No, of course it won't. Some days they will actually be a relatively decent human being. But most days, they're thinking about what they can extract from people, how they can hoodwink people, how they can get invited to the special holiday barbecues or parties, how they can get access to the boat or the Mexican beach house, or go on these trips, or get exposure from doing other things. This is what the narcissist does. Remember, the narcissist needs new shiny objects, not just people, but relationships, pets, jobs, clothes, anything they can get their hands on, because they get so jaded and bored with the commonplace, with the average, with the mundane. They can't just be. That is one of the pitfalls of being the narcissist. And there are many, believe me when I tell you. I could do a whole series on that, but one of the key pitfalls is they can't just be in their own mind. They can't have calmness, serenity, peace. They can't have tranquility. They need to be on their smartphones, which I'll talk about in a minute. They need to have disruption. They need to be going here, there, everywhere. That's why the narcissist can't sit still. I created that video 2 years ago. Check it out. Why the narcissist can't sit still. It describes perfectly what the narcissist needs to do. And that's something you don't need to do. I'll jump back into the smartphones before I close the video. Smartphones, you know, like as I mentioned, these are tools or devices to use to communicate with individuals, or to basically have a college university at your fingertips, whatever you want to call it. That's exactly what I use the phone for. But the point being, we're creating content. But the narcissist, what they use it for is a weapon. So think about when you would be sleeping, you would roll over and you'd see the narcissist on one of their 3 smartphones giggling at 3 o'clock in the morning. What would that mean? Well, it very simply would mean that they are talking to somebody else or communicating with somebody else, most likely in a different time zone or country, or who knows, it could be your next door neighbor, I don't know. But they're getting supply because they can't sleep with themselves in their own mind. They need to really burn themselves out to be able to go to sleep many times. And they are getting sources of supply on smartphones. That is exactly what they do. Now, do they do it every single waking minute? No, but do they do it an awful lot? Absolutely they do. That is why the smartphone is a weapon. That is why when you were removed from the relationship, whether you were discarded or you ended it yourself, that's why they tried to hoover you via smartphone many times, or send you an email, or drop a package at your front door, or send you a letter in the post. Who knows what they would do, or talk to a flying monkey and have the flying monkey communicate with you. Why? I'll tell you why. Because they knew that they blew up the relationship with you. They knew that they administered so much destruction and damage to you. And that, number one, they didn't think you would heal. I've said that a few times. But number two is, you have healed. And they are testing the waters of the relationship with you to see if you will go back for another round of punishment and abuse and toxicity, because they knew what you provided for them. Now, do they ever care about you? Absolutely not. Does the narcissist know what they're doing? Absolutely, they do know what they're doing. I've given you many illustrations here in this video, but think about what I'm sharing with you. Why does the narcissist, many times when you would text them, I'll stay on the smartphone for a moment, when you would text them, why would sometimes they would read it and they wouldn't respond to you? I'll tell you why. Because they felt they were better than you and they didn't need to respond to you, and they wanted to keep you waiting, or to keep you hanging, or to keep you pining for them, or wondering where they are, who they're with, what they're doing. Those are the waiting games of the narcissist. I did a video on that also. But having said that, the narcissist demands, they want you to report back to them. They want you revealing everything about you to them. And the narcissist tells you very little truths about themselves, about their past, their present, their future, or anything. That's why the narcissist is a shapeshifter. That's exactly why they know what they're doing. Because they know each and every morning, think about this, they put their clothes on the exact same way you do. They brush their teeth the same way you do. They read the same way you do. They go to work the same way you do. They have relationships not the same way you do. What they do in relationships is they look to take advantage of people. They look at people as opportunities, as people that are not smart. They look at people to take advantage of. And what do? You're an authentic, genuine, honest individual. And you want the same for the individual you're in a relationship with. All you want out of life is peace, calmness, serenity, tranquility, and abundance and growth and moving forward. That's what you want. And you thought you had it in a toxic narcissistic relationship, but nothing could have been further from the truth, because the narcissist was trying to take you down the whole time. You just didn't know it. But again, that's why your health took a hit. That's why your finances took a hit. That's why your social circle took a hit. That's why your job took a hit. That's why your bank account took a hit. That's why your network of friends took a hit. That's why everything about you took huge, massive hits. And then again, you were discarded, or they kept you stuck in that trance-like state, the narcissistic fog. So to answer the question once and for all before I close the video, does the narcissist know what they're doing? 100%. Will they ever admit it? No chance. Are they ever going to introspect and be accountable about what they did to you in the relationship? No. Are they doing the exact same thing they did to you with another individual right now as you're watching this video? Absolutely. Probably multiple people. This is what the narcissist does. This is exactly their nature, and it's exactly how they go from person to person, place to place, business to business, destroying people's lives, destroying people's futures, breaking up relationships with their own children, with their own parents, with their friends, with the colleagues, with neighbors, with people in communities. This is what they do. They self-destruct. That's what the narcissist does, and they destroy people along the way. So guys, that's the video. I hope you liked it. I loved doing it from the beautiful Carolinas. This is Andrew. Namaste. Have a great afternoon, evening, or morning. No matter where you are on the planet, you are not alone. Remember that. You are not alone. God bless you. I love you, and I'll talk to you tomorrow. All right, enjoy, you guys. Bye-bye.